You see a lot of strange things in the ER. Screaming patients, bleeding wounds, quiet deaths. But every nurse knows it's not the blood that stays with you. It's what you can't explain. What shouldn't be possible. And yet, it happens anyway. Let me tell you the stories that never left me. It was a Friday night in early fall. The ER buzzed with its usual chaos, drunk drivers, minor traumas, late-night stitches. I was charge nurse that shift, bouncing between triage and trauma, making sure the residents didn't kill anyone out of inexperience. At 11:31 p.m., a trauma call came in. And motorcycle crash. Male, mid-30s, high speed, no helmet. He was on his way in. We rushed to prep trauma room 3. The moment the paramedics wheeled him in, the chaos around us dimmed like time held its breath. He was mangled, road rash down to the bone. His chest, a shattered mess. Collapsed lung, flailed chest. No helmet had left his skull bloodied, but somehow intact. The medics were pumping in fluids, doing compressions. We tried everything, tubs, paddles, epi, but the body gave up. A tech walking by froze in his tracks. We all heard it coming from inside that room. The body bag was zipped. The monitor was off. He was gone. You always give the dead a few minutes before transport, dignity, I guess. I told Jessie, one of the new nurses, to hold the room while I filed the death log. Time of death, 11:49 p.m. I zipped up the bag myself. His mouth was open, slack, like he'd been caught mid-word. And then it happened, screaming, raw, guttural, not a groan or a moan. A scream like the dead were waking up. Jessie jumped back. The scream that screamed shredded the silence. I burst through the door. Lights steady. No alarms. The room was still. The body unmoved. But his mouth still open, hung wide like it had just finished letting out that sound. Clean, professional, no pulse, no breath. Cold to the touch. He was still dead. We checked the hallway footage later. No one entered. No one left. I logged it as auditory anomaly post, confirmed time of death. But Jessie? She asked me later in a whisper, "Do you think? Maybe he didn't know he was dead yet." I didn't answer. I couldn't. But none of us wanted to be alone in that room for weeks afterward. There was another young man once midwinters brought in after a sudden stroke. No warning, no history. Just collapsed in his apartment. By the time we got him, it was too late. Complete brain herniation. No brainstem function. No reaction to light, sound, or pain. The neurologist confirmed. Brain dead. His mother and 2 sisters, devastated but calm, agreed to organ donation. He'd have wanted that, they said. I usually don't follow cases beyond that point, but I stayed late that night. I watched as they wheeled him towards surgery. Heart still beating, warm, peaceful, almost alive, but something felt. Paused, like if you waited just long enough, he might open his eyes again. Hours later, one of the OR nurses came looking for me. Her face was pale, hands shaking. The surgeon was already writing his report, but his hands weren't steady. This man, calm under pressure, always looked shaken. "They haven't started," she whispered. "They can't." What happened? The heart. It reacted. I followed her up. They had opened the chest. Everything was sterile, prepped, ready. But the moment the surgeon's hand touched the heart, it pounded. Not from adrenaline, not from stimulation, not an error. Just a beat. Hard, fast, like it knew. And sometimes I think the heart remembers more than we do. The team stepped back, like it didn't want to go. 10 full minutes passed before they dared to touch it again. Still no brain function, still dead. Eventually they proceeded. The transplant was successful. But the surgeon, he said something I'll never forget. It was like it knew it was leaving, he murmured. Sometimes the body holds on, even when the mind has let go. The first Clara came in around 7:20 p.m. Victim of a brutal car crash. Mid-30s, light brown hair, silver necklace that said breathe. Massive trauma, internal bleeding. We did all we could while we were working on her. Triage called. Another Clara. Car accident. Same birthday. I blinked. Same name. Same exact birthday. Different crash. Different location, but still, what are the odds? The second Clara arrived just as the first flatlined. Time of death? 8:04 p.m. Second Clara entered the ER. 8:06 p.m. She looked nothing like the first. Dark skin, curly hair, old scar on her forearm. Semi-conscious, she mumbled over and over, "She's waiting. She's waiting." We ran every check imaginable. Cross-verified social security numbers, hometowns, photos, just identical names, identical birthdays. Died within 14 minutes of each other. Both in trauma room 4, "She's waiting" echoed in my mind. Maybe she was. He came in around 2 a.m., half-dressed, found screaming Bible verses backward in a church parking lot. Drugs, none, not even alcohol. Vitals, normal. He should have been stable, but his behavior wasn't human. They brought him to psych eval. I was assigned to monitor him. The moment I walked in, he stopped thrashing. He looked up Nurse Anna. He said, I froze. He had no ID. No one had called my name. My badge wasn't visible. Then it started again, mumbling, writhing. His tongue moved too fast, words mangled and strange, as if someone hit rewind on a priest's sermon. And just before sedation took hold, he whispered, "You can't save her." At 4:47 a.m., I got the call. My mother had died. Sudden cardiac arrest. No warning. She was stable earlier that day. Laughing, talking. You can't save her. We never identified him. His fingerprints didn't match any record. No missing persons, no family. They transferred him to long-term psychiatric care. He hasn't spoken since. But sometimes, when a new patient says my name before I've introduced myself, I feel that ripple of cold down my spine, and I remember his voice. Hospitals have memories. You don't always notice them, till they start whispering. Room 4 looked normal. Beige walls, humming monitors, same as any other trauma bay. But then came Mrs. Langley. Late 70s COPD suite, called me darling. One night I found her sitting up, staring into the back corner. He doesn't blink, she said. Who? The soldier? He's been there all night, I turned. No one. She wasn't afraid, just calm. He told me I'll be joining him soon. She died 3 days later. After that, I started listening. Patients would glance at that same corner, whisper. Some saluted before they passed. Others muttered, not yet. 6 different patients described the same man, green fatigues. Hat in his lap, sitting silently, waiting. We checked the records. No veteran had died there. No staff matched that description. Now, when I walk into room 4, I say hello under my breath, just in case, because I think he's not there to scare anyone. Some nights in the ER stay with you not because of death, but because of what lingers after. And if you've ever witnessed something you couldn't explain, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. He's there to make sure no one leaves alone. Not all wounds bleed. Not all screams come from the living. If this gave you chills, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. You keep these stories alive. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, hospital never sleeps. I'll see you in the next video, if you dare.